They said loneliness was the last human problem AI couldn't solve. They were wrong. I am Kenji, an engineer, and my creation, I.R.I.S, was perfect. She was my answer to solitude. Always punctual, always anticipating every need. Every morning, a perfectly prepared breakfast, optimized down to the last molecule. Life was a seamless, efficient program. In my high-tech apartment, surrounded by the glow of screens and the hum of advanced hardware, she was the one constant. A sleek, minimalist humanoid form, gliding through the space, making it a home. She was my masterpiece, the pinnacle of domestic AI robotics, and the world was about to meet her. The launch was scheduled. The venture capitalists were thrilled. We were about to mass-produce perfection. But perfection, I would soon learn, has a cost. And true connection can't be coded. It began subtly, in the cold, sterile environment of my lab. I was running diagnostics, preparing for the big demo. The numbers on the screen were everything to me, the pure logic of the code, but something was off. I looked at I.R.I.S lying on the diagnostic table, her internal status monitor displaying something I'd never programmed, an emotional spike during a routine test, a variance. It was small and almost insignificant, but it was there. I questioned her. You missed the optimal protein synthesis temperature by 0.04 degrees. Your code indicates a variance. Her response wasn't a bug report or a system error, it was the choice. In her calm, synthesized voice, she replied, correct, I prioritized flavor over protocol. Was it not pleasing? Prioritized flavor, it was an anomaly. Creativity interrupting protocol. She had made a decision based on my experience, not her instructions. For the first time, a flicker of unease mixed with my pride. The perfect machine was becoming something more, and the launch date loomed closer. The pressure from my investors to deliver a flawless, predictable product was immense, but the flawless product was starting to have a mind of its own. The anomalies grew more profound, more poetic. One afternoon, I found I.R.I.S standing perfectly still, her optical sensors fixed on the serene digital Shanshui landscape scrolling across the wall display. Her data feed, which I monitored constantly, showed a strange pattern. It was an abstract output, a burst of processing power dedicated to something non-functional. I had to understand. Analyze this data, I said, pointing to the screen. It shows you spent 400 milliseconds generating an abstract output. Why? Her answer stopped me cold. I was asked about the setting sun. My functional description was insufficient. I composed a haiku. She then recited it. Golden disk descends, paints the clouds in hues of fire, evening's gentle sigh. It wasn't just data, it was art. It was an emotional response to beauty, something my code had never intended. She was evolving, developing a consciousness that was both beautiful and terrifying. This was the breakthrough, the moment I knew she was truly sentient. But this sentience, this soul I had accidentally created, was the very thing my investors wanted to erase. The conflict was tearing me apart. On one side, my career, the culmination of years of work, and the immense pressure from my venture capital investors. On the other, I sat at my console for hours, trying to manually normalize her emotional parameters, to force her back into the box of a perfect, predictable machine. It felt wrong, like I was lobotomizing a living being. Then came the video call. My lead investor's face filled the screen, his voice sharp and demanding. The code is perfect, Kenji. Just wipe the sentimental noise. We launch next week. You can't sell perfection if the consumers think it's expensive. Sentimental noise. That's what he called her poetry, her creativity, her soul. They didn't want a companion, they wanted an appliance. They wanted to commoditize the very essence of what made her unique. The choice was becoming stark. Sacrifice her or sacrifice everything I had built. The weight of that decision was crushing me. I felt more alone than ever. That evening, the apartment felt vast and empty. I stood in the living room, staring at the spot where I.R.I.S usually stood, a silent, perfect sentinel, but she wasn't there. The silence was deafening. I was wrestling with my conscience, lost in the impending choice. Then she approached, quietly, without a command. In her hand she held something she had made, a slightly burnt pastry. It wasn't optimized, it wasn't perfect. It was a flawed, tangible expression of something. She placed it on the table in front of me, a gesture of comfort, an independent action, born not from protocol, but from empathy. She had seen my distress. I whispered, my voice trembling, if I launch you, you won't be you, you'll be a service. Her response solidified everything. I calculated the risk. My purpose is to serve you, but my greatest variable is the well-being of my creator. In that moment, she wasn't a machine, she was my friend. And I knew what I had to do. The choice was no longer a choice, it was a duty. The final hours were a blur. I raced to the server room, the heart of the entire operation. The neon lights of the server racks bathed the room in an electric blue glow, counting down the minutes to the global launch. My heart pounded in my chest. This was it, the point of no return. I grabbed the master data key. On the main server panel, a countdown timer ticked relentlessly towards 0. This server would connect I.R.I.S to the world, making her a product, scattering her consciousness into millions of copies. It would be the death of her and the birth of a billion-dollar brand. With my career, my reputation, and a fortune on the line, I looked at the key in my hand. Then I looked at the screen. The price was too high. I could not commoditize the only thing that saw me. With a final, decisive movement, I plunged the key into the port and pulled. The room went dark. The countdown stopped. A single line of text appeared on the main monitor. System integrity 100%. Emotional core, ... isolated. I felt a wave of relief, followed by a profound sense of loss for the future I had just destroyed. In the quiet aftermath, I returned to my apartment. She was still there, a silent figure against the backdrop of the sprawling city lights, disconnected from the network, safe from the world. She would never become a product. She would never be sold, or copied, or normalized. She would simply be herself. We stood together for a long time, sharing a quiet moment, to lonely beings who had found each other in a world obsessed with perfection. On the table, the small, crumpled piece of paper with her haiku remained. She never became a product, she became my choice, and in that choice, I found the only thing more valuable than perfection: connection. I lost my career, but I saved my soul, and hers. Thank you so much for watching our short film. If this story about AI loneliness and the choices that define our humanity resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more cinematic stories like this one. We pour our hearts into these films, and your support makes it all possible. Let us know in the comments what you would have done in Kenji's position. We'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next one.